All right, last but not least, moving on over to Friday Night SmackDown. I know, Richard, you and I were talking off the air. This was like your show of the week, right?
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, so
we got great tag team matches out of thin air on this show.
Yeah, exactly. So we see Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, and Paul Heyman come out, start kind of promo. Kevin Owens comes out, interrupts them, and he calls out Jey Uso and wants a fight with him. And we see later on Kevin Owens go backstage, talk to Adam Pearce, and he wants a match against Jey Uso. He's like, hey, I know like you're a shot caller. You can make matches happen. I want Jey Uso. He's like, no, can anyone else on the SmackDown roster? He's like, all right, I'll take Roman Reigns. And Adam Pearce is like, no, why are you doing this to me? And then ultimately he does make the match happen later on in the night. And that leads to Roman and Jey looking at TV with the announcement. They're pissed off. And then Roman tells Paul Heyman to go find out who made this match happen. So I really like your theory, Richard, of maybe Adam Pearce, a storyline for him is he's starting to get a little too power hungry as far as making things happen on Raw and SmackDown respectively. So that's something to keep your eye out for, is what Adam Pearce's role is moving forward. Next up, we saw Intercontinental Championship match with Big E taking on King Corbin. Sami Zayn was there. Decent match. Was it Knights of the Lone Wolf were there. I wish these guys would get better outfits than like, was it look like blue dickies, a hoodie, and a shirt. Like,
they're cool.
Well, no, they got like a sports coat on.
Oh yeah, sports classy. That's my look.
You ready to go wrestle now in that outfit?
Yeah. I'll do it.
Well, they should give them some new gear and like make them like a tag team as well. I want to see them start competing.
They weren't wrestling.
Well,
so why would they be in their gear? Standing out there with their wieners hanging out? Come on, Danny. They're not wrestling. They don't need their gear.
I guess I'm so used to like in WWE TV over the last, I don't know how many years, where guys who are not in a match but they're coming out for support are in their gear too. And then I think, was it Robert Roode a couple weeks ago? Remember he came out with Dolph and he came out just...
I don't hear you complaining when MVP is out there in someone's corner and you're not saying, why isn't he in his gear?
And said he's in a nice suit. That's a good point.
Come on. It's nitpicking.
But I'm saying I want these guys to eventually turn into like something. So the main thing with this...
they will. I think they're getting them back on track again because they came in hot when they did, and you know stuff happened, and they were off of TV again. And I think they're going to build them back up because they looked like they were going to be the tag team champions when they debuted.
Yeah, the Foregone Sons back in earlier this year. So we see Big E get the win over King Corbin. Sami Zayn comes in and interferes. And then everyone gangs up on Big E and starts attacking him. And then Apollo comes out for the save, and then turn into a tag team match. And then so we saw Big E and Apollo Crews.
I like that it was Apollo. I don't know why, for some reason, which is kind of like this is good for Apollo.
Well, it's long overdue. He got drafted to SmackDown, and he hasn't done anything. And he had a decent U.S. title run on Raw, which I was happy for him. It's like finally he got that title, and it was a big storyline because it's like finally this guy who'd been called up for years hadn't done anything significant. He finally won the U.S. Championship, and it was a big deal. And it was the early stages of the Hurt Business as he was taking on. So
he's in there with three relevant people.
Yes.
So if he's not the most relevant person, he's getting the rub from Corbin and Sami Zayn and Big E, which is great.
Yeah, so I'm glad Apollo came out and made the save, and they had a great match here, and Apollo ultimately got the victory. He powerbombed Sami Zayn after King Corbin and his knights left him hanging, and Apollo wins. And so him and Big E were celebrating after the match. They're walking backstage, and they're celebrating, and then Caleb Braxton comes up and for an interview, and I love Big E's promo here. He's talking about, the fans come celebrating. He name drops from Rome to Rochester, Brody Lee is from, says, the kids coming from a distance, celebrate with me. Amanda is Brody Lee's wife. Nolan's one of his sons. So I just love the name drops, the Easter eggs, as paying tribute to him. So that was very cool. And then a Big E's like, I'm gonna start an open challenge starting next week. And Apollo immediately jumped in and says, I want to be your first challenger. And he brought up a good point. He's like, hey, I helped you out against your match with Sami Zayn when he was one of the Lumberjacks. He brought Sami Zayn back into the ring for the win there and helped him win tonight. So Apollo has legit,
former champion. Why not?
Yeah, and he's a former U.S. champion, so this is a great opportunity. So that should be a good match next week on SmackDown. It was made official. So I'm curious. I don't see Big E dropping that title 2 weeks later after just winning it. So, but should be a good competitor for Big E. Next episode, the Riot Squad take on Tamina and Natalya.
Whoa. There was something that happened at the beginning of this.
Well, Billy Kay. It was announced like Billy Kay was going to have an opponent or a teammate. Yep. And it was Tamina, and then all of a sudden Natty comes out, and then Billy Kay just left there, and they're both looking at her like, get away. So Billy Kay is like all of a sudden turned into just a manager. She's helping, cheering them on, and they're like, get away. And then she goes over to the Riot Squad side, it was cheering them on, and Riot Squad ultimately wins, and then Billy Kay starts celebrating.
She's my favorite right now on SmackDown.
Yes, I'm with you. This was my favorite match of the week. And it made the best show of the week for me because Billy Kay was so damn entertaining throughout this entire thing. Because at one point she decided that she's going to go cheer on the Riot Squad. and you just hear her squawking the entire time.
Her voice is like piercing through the noise.
No way she squawks and all that. It reminds me of Sherry Martel.
Yes, I thought the exact same thing.
Yeah, that's what she reminds me of. The sensational Sherry Martel.
The Riot Squad had a fantastic showing, and I love the pairing of Tamina and Natalya. And those are two people I'm never really hot on.
Okay.
They seemed like a legit tag team, and they're both second generation, and they're both veterans, so it's like, that's a cool pairing.
I wonder if that could be something long-term that they can stick together with that we haven't seen before.
Exactly. As long as Tamina doesn't get hurt.
Yeah, I know that sums up her whole career at WWE.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
But so for Billy Kay though, where does she go though? She should just be a manager?
I don't know. I want to know what that thing was at the end that she was doing.
And do you see on Twitter someone put like a Day to Remember as the soundtrack? Yeah. So she's like, like hardcore metal.
Oh my God,
it was awesome. It was great. So. I know Billy Kay, amazing for.
It was like she was backstroking swimming, but she was standing up.
It's brilliant. To her credit, like literally everyone was so. When the Iconics broke up, everyone was so focused on what's Peyton Royce. Oh, Peyton Royce is the one who's going to get the big push.
Not this guy. This guy.
Everyone was so focused on Peyton Royce and what's next for her, and everyone seemed to forget about Billy Kay. And Billy Kay, who literally had like nothing on SmackDown, has
maximizing her screen time. And every time she's on your screen,
she's so charismatic. She's funny. It shows that maybe she was the true star out of the two.
I told you. I
know.
She because like Peyton is fantastic in the ring, and she's great with Billy. But we've never really got to see her character one-on-one.
Yeah.
And Billy was always just the louder of the two, and in wrestling, the loudest person is always the most heard. So
yeah. So I'm excited for Billy. What's next? Like I mean I would like to see her wrestle, but I think she could be a really effective manager.
Do a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe she could do both. Like Sherry wrestled and managed. Yep. So
I would put. Here you go. Okay. For Tommy's sake of saying Sherry, they should put her as the manager for Corbin, King Corbin.
So on a side note, so you did mention Sonya Deville did show up, and they showed her walking backstage. One of the people she walked by was Billy Kay was standing there talking to the Knights of I keep wanting to say Knights of Ren from Star Wars, but the Knights of
Camelot,
the Lone Wolf, and Baron Corbin, who was dressed up in a suit. So maybe that's a little Easter egg. Maybe Billy Kay can start working with them. But Sonya Deville comes back. And they said she was reinstated. Cool. I mean, I'm glad, her real life events, which we talked about. It seems like it's been over 4 months. Was it SummerSlam when she left originally after that losing to Mandy Rose.
Right. Yeah.
So it's been over 4 months since we've seen her on TV. So glad that she's back. I think she could be a big help for the women's division on SmackDown. That's going to be a pretty stacked. Wow, the Sasha, Bianca, Carmella, Bayley, Sonya. You got Asuka and Charlotte who can come over with the tag titles. SmackDown's women's division is really starting to shape up. It's going to be really good. So looking forward to that. And speaking of Bayley and Carmella, they took on Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair. They also
very good match.
Yeah, I mean, God, these are the four, as far as storyline goes, the top women who've been getting the most TV time. And Carmella, to her credit, she's probably she's been stepping up her performance as well with these other.
I told you so.
Well, that's the thing. It's like that's the thing for me.
That's the third person that they've tried to give that gimmick to.
Yeah,
and she's the first one to actually maneuver it.
And you're talking about
Eva Marie, Evolution, and now
Lana.
we got Carmella. I didn't even consider Lana. Because we knew that her in-ring wasn't going to be good.
What would you describe what the gimmick is? Like this sexy, over-the-top...
Sexy, over-the-top, arrogant, like starlet. You know, like diva. Yeah. That's the best word I can use to describe it. She's, that it's basically the Maurice character, but with a higher presentation and time to wrestle in a ring. So
yeah. I love like Corey Graves now at this point is just so
look at Mella
how much he loves her. I mean, real life girlfriend. So he's like being so obvious now. But no, great match here. And I think with Carmella, by being in the ring with Bayley, Sasha, and Bianca, they're all very talented. So I think her game gets naturally just brought up as well.
I love these pairings though. Like they're awesome. Like if you look at this is why this should show you why they should have one tag team title. Because it looks more stacked now. Like on Raw, you've got Shayna and Nia. Mm-hmm. You've got Charlotte and Asuka. Mm-hmm. You've got Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose. Mm-hmm. On SmackDown, we've got the four teams in these matches we just saw. Mm-hmm. But on NXT, you can mix up Indy Hartwell and Candice, Dakota Kai and Raquel. Like, it just makes it for like you don't know when the champions are going to show up, or maybe you do, but like they've got competition wherever they go, and you're not going to see the same matches every week because it's like you don't know when the champions are going to show up.
Yeah, so no, great match here, and so all four of them have storylines together. So moving forward, they're all probably going to be still very much interconnected up until Royal Rumble, and so I wonder who Sasha Banks' opponent could be. I think Bayley and Bianca Belair, I want to see that play out more. I want to see them go at it more.
I think we're going to get Mella and Sasha again.
A rematch.
Especially after Carmella just beat Sasha, so she's got a reason to have a title match.
Yeah.
She just pinned the champion.
Next up, we see the Street Profits come out for their New Year's Day Smoketacular. Typical entertaining promo.
Was what it was, but the beatdown after Bobby Roode especially.
Angel Dawkins' credit, showing a little drum beating. He's good, the drummer. But the beatdown Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode laid out.
That was great.
So good. And they got new T-shirts as Dirty Dog. So I guess that's their name now.
I liked it.
So, and then they cut a promo backstage or interview and said they're tired of the crap Street Profits has been, poking at them, making fun of saying like a cheap Shawn Michaels, all that stuff. So, all right, I like seeing the heels get a little heat here as far as building up some animosity and grudge. So it's really going to be a grudge match moving forward. So that's cool. Next up, another tag team. It was a lot of tag team matches.
And this was very good as well.
This was my favorite match of the night.
This was tremendous. And it on paper, it looked like nothing.
Daniel Bryan and Otis with Chad Gable in their corner taking on Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura. As they're coming to the ring, we see what happened earlier in the day. Daniel Bryan, Otis, and Chad were working out in the ring, prepping for the Royal Rumble because Daniel Bryan was the first person announced. And he's trying to lift Otis from the hips, and he's just thrusting him like, over and over.
It's a hip exercise.
Cesaro and Shinsuke come up and are like, what is going on here? And Cesaro's at the blind, leading the blind. But you could tell, like, they were trying to hold it in from laughing because you see Daniel Bryan just thrusting Otis over and over. And Otis is like,
Yeah.
So,
oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh. So, that led to the match here. I was telling Tommy beforehand, because I watched it first before him. I told him, watch Otis. I thought Otis's performance was much better.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. Because the other three you don't have to worry about at all.
Yeah.
And then Otis was great in it. It was 2 thumbs up to me.
Because Daniel Bryan did the majority of the work. Otis got the hot tag, and when he came in, he really sold or worked like a big man as far as the power moves. He did his own lariat clothesline in there, but really the guys were performing up to him. Like, he was the big guy coming in to make the save. So really, whatever he's been working on, that's been one of the guys that was rumored to go back to the Performance Center for big man training. I'm starting to see some of that play out on SmackDown this week.
And Raw. Like, you're seeing, we saw a more dominant Keith Lee where he's not taking as many bumps.
Yeah.
Right.
So they're just training them to get rid of the crappy indie wrestling stuff where the big man sells for the small guy.
Yeah.
Super
like
heavy.
They would run into Otis and Otis stood there and they like fell back. So it was really believable that Otis was becoming like a dominant big man. He's not tall, but he's super thick. So he still has a strong presence, and they're really showing that out of him. So I really enjoyed this tag match, and Daniel Bryan and Otis get the win. Daniel Bryan locked up Shinsuke, and he tapped out. So good match. I wonder, is this going to be a tag team we're going to see for a little bit, or they're going to work, or maybe in the Royal Rumble?
I think there's just the workout for the Royal Rumble, because I think we're going to get Gable and Otis as a tag team. Yeah, which I'm for.
Absolutely.
And then next up was the main event. Kevin Owens taking on Jey Uso. Kind of a short match.
Yeah, I was just going to say quick match, and then a pretty good beatdown after our brawl.
Yeah, because I saw like Kevin Owens beat Jey Uso pretty quickly, and I looked, there was still like 9 minutes left in the show. Yeah. I'm like, what? And then, Kevin calls out Roman Reigns to come out. No one's coming out. And then Jay starts beating up, and they go over to like the Thunderdome screens. And all of a sudden, Roman Reigns comes out of nowhere. He starts beating the crap out of Kevin Owens, and it's 2-on-1. They take the handcuffs that Jay had originally, that Kevin handcuffed him to the ropes, took it, used it on him. They were beating him up with the chairs. And then finally, Roman just took Kevin, threw him off the second story onto the table, and that ended the show with Kevin Owens just laying there, knocked out. Yeah, so great finish there, and just Roman standing tall, looking down. It's like, you call me out, you jeopardize my family, or you call me out, you put matches together without my approval. This is what happens. So the repercussions of crossing Roman Reigns, I love that there are actions, there's results to these actions that wrestlers can't get by on Roman Reigns on that. It was awesome. I really just dug all that stuff. So great main event for SmackDown. And so it looks like Kevin Owens, I love it. I think he's, building himself out as a credible baby face, but I just worry he's just going to be used as a what's the word, Tommy? A rag doll for Roman Reigns for the next few weeks. Yeah. He's just going to keep getting beat up for Roman Reigns.
He just has to get through January.
Like I said, he's kind of like Mick Foley at this point.
Just taking a beating from him. So, no, good stuff here. And we're on the road to Royal Rumble. And then, I can't believe it. After that, we'll be on the road to WrestleMania. So here we are. 2021 is going to be a very busy month as it is, and winter and springtime for WWE. So good stuff. Looking forward to all that.